take over. Hey, Steve, Andy, what's going on?
Hey, thanks, Scott. Hello, Andy.
Hello, Steve. Hi, Scott. Hi, everybody.
All right, I just realized when I do my volume adjustment, people can see what I was watching on YouTube. That's always nice. All right, so let's get into it. The trade of the week, disclaimer, just a reminder, the old tile, the old slide that is, as people file in to this weekly webinar. Andy and I are just employees here at Trade Ideas. We're not financial advisors, so anything you see or hear today, and we'll have a few opinions, are really just our opinions. They shouldn't be construed as financial advice, and that's definitely not the way it's being presented. So with that out of the way, good to go to the next slide. So Andy and I have been using this product for 17 years. Since the inception, we've seen a lot of changes come and go, and we try and make your first month with us, because that first month really is the crucial month to try and really get a feel for how this program can work best for you. You might use it completely different than the guy down the street using it for swing trading, and you might be using it for low float day trading. But nonetheless, it takes a good, chunk of hours to try and really get a feel and learn how to take advantage of the unleash the power of this program. And so what I'm getting at is we've got daily webinars like the afternoon ones we're speaking with now. Barry is live bell to bell. That's really the best place to go. It is the hang on one second. There we go. It is the live free trading room. A lot of good traders in there, a lot of good stuff being bantered around, and Barry does a great job at fielding support questions. So all day long, you can get a visual demonstration if you want to join that room. If you don't want to join that room, come by on the noon hour, East Coast time. We give Barry a break, and one of the five of us will jump in and also give a off-the-cuff support session. A lot of times we'll tell people, hey, in an hour, come to this address down here, trade-ideas/live, and ask your question to the presenter. They'll be able to give you a visual demonstration. You can go back and forth. We can send out links to help you guys with configuration. So it's a great resource. It's free. It's there 5 days a week for 1 hour from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. You should join if you haven't done so. All right. And okay, moving on, the man and machine combined theme. Just I like to remind people as we move forward, you can't just rely on machines to make it work for you. You got to have a human working together with the machine to get the most out of it. We see that all the time when we look at the AI Holly conservative mode versus moderate mode. Moderate mode is keeping those trades open into the end of the day, whereas the AI will exit those trades earlier many times. We call that conservative mode, and a lot of times the AI leaves money on the table. So that's a perfect example, a real-world example of how the man and human working with the idea generated, which is the entry, and then the human says, thanks, AI, that's a great entry, I'll take it from here. And we see across the board that the human element does much better in those cases. But I don't blame some people. They're totally new and they don't know when to get out, and so they start off with the conservative mode, and that's okay. But I think you'll see as time goes on that there is some truth to that. All right, so the July 14th market recap. We'll start with that. Andy will talk about a few AI trades today. Trade of the week was kind of a disappointment, but a lot to be learned from. Trades that don't work. We'll talk about that in depth. Grub. Daily candlestick patterns. I want to revisit one of our tools that we have here that maybe some people don't realize, and on that same vein, revisit another tool that some people might not realize we have. Red bar ignored and green bar ignored. Those are interesting continuation patterns. And given the time, we'll go about 45 minutes or so. Given the time, if there's any chart requests, hang on a second. That was a loud one. Let me close my window because I live next to Miramar Air Station and sometimes they go crazy. All right, so let's get started. We'll just duck out of this slide here. What I was meaning to say towards the end there when the jet interrupted me, if you guys want to hold on to a few symbols as we get to the end of this presentation, I'll be happy to look at a few charts and maybe give you some ideas of what we think, and Andy will as well. It always helps to know if you're currently long, currently short, or thinking about getting in or out. Kind of helps when we take a look at the charts. So let's start as usual with the SPY. If you were in Jamie's webinar yesterday, quite the turn of events. I threw up a little bit of a caution flag based on one candle. More importantly, it was the Nasdaq candle, which put in and I'll just highlight this, put in a engulfing bearish candle yesterday, which is extremely important. We're going to talk about that in the session. Usually that doesn't portend good things. And I'll tell you what, Andy and I have seen a lot of different markets. I don't think either of us have seen a market like this. Usually after picture this like picking up somebody and just literally body slamming them in the parking lot, okay? Usually that person doesn't get right back up and start fighting. Usually it lays there in a doji for a day and maybe bleeds out a little bit more. We haven't seen anything like this. I can tell you what we have seen and we have learned is to never argue with the prices and the market. That will get you in trouble. The pricing action is what it is, even though we think it should be something different. So the point is, a couple of veterans like Andy and myself, we didn't see this day coming. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about it, but in our fund yesterday, we liquidated most of the longs, got spooked out of a lot of things yesterday, and now we're just kind of looking at each other, laughing, saying, all right, well, that was better to be safe than sorry, I guess. We'll see what happens. But that was the big story yesterday. The S&P, great, another kick save, right back into play. We're right back above the moving averages again. It's like it didn't even happen yesterday. So we'll go with that. A new data point tells us that we're back into play here, and there's no follow through whatsoever on any attempt to sell this market off until further notice. We'll just move right into the Nasdaq again, even though we were talking about that. Nasdaq technically did not give up its 10-day moving average, which is just absolutely amazing to me. It got so far ahead of itself yesterday. And then that engulfing bearish candle, again, we thought we would have really been testing the 10-day moving average, which we did, and maybe even the 20, which we didn't. But the point is, I always say it's most importantly to see how the candle closes at the end of the day, not make our decisions in panic and haste 20 minutes after the opening bell and the prices are down here at the low end. It's a long day of trading, and this market has been showing us that if you're patient and stick around to the end of the day, you're probably going to be rewarded, and that's just the case until otherwise noted. So there's really no point even looking at the others anymore. IWM looks like it's coiled and ready to do something. It's probably just waiting for a cue. Maybe there'll be some movement coming out of there and challenge that 200-day moving average coming up. But other than that, I'm not seeing a whole lot of love the way gold looks right here. Absolutely love it. GLD. As a side note, we're going to be able to start trading our own 401k account here at Trade Ideas, and that self-directed account, I'm probably going to load up with a little bit of GLD at some point. SLV also has been looking great. Silver, for whatever reason, that could transpire into the gold miners. They got a downdraft with the rest of the market yesterday, but boy, they recovered pretty darn handsomely today, near the top. The gold miners were near the top of the recovery sectors when we look at it like that. And not really much to gain from the TLT. The story is in the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq's been leading us higher. Nasdaq gave us a scare yesterday and just kind of laughed and said, sucker, punted it right back into play. So I'm just kind of elaborating on what a couple things you and I were talking about earlier, Andy, that you and I have seen a lot of markets, but this is impressive.
Yeah. I think I mentioned in our Slack chat that I'm old enough to remember when a candle like yesterday meant something, and it really
body slam. Yeah,
it really doesn't. I mean, it's like when you see the volume, the candle yesterday, just an engulfing pattern. I mean, every book, every technical book out there is going to tell you that's a bearish candle yesterday, and boy, just to gap down and just dig into it, and then the spies look a lot better than the Qs there. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if the Qs after that candle can just go right back to highs. I'm amazed when you see things like that. That's why, you don't try to guess. It's okay to anticipate, but don't guess. And to me, those are two different ideas.
And if you guess and you're wrong, don't argue.
No.
Take that as a sign.
No, but it's definitely resilient.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit more about bearish engulfing candles when I take it back from Andy, but he'll talk a little bit here in his segment about a couple of AI trades today, I take it.
Okay, sure. Yeah, let me grab it. And should be able to see. my screen?
Yep.
All right. Well, what I've been doing. I have been focusing a lot on NEO, and I still am. But I will show some more today, since there are only 2 trades in NEO today. Now, I expect NEO, as we get into the teeth of earnings season, it really just kicked off this week, you know, by next week, I'm really expect to see a lot more as earnings, when you start lining up those 60, 70, 80 reports a day. You know. NEO can be one to go out and find that action for you. So keep an eye on NEO over the next 6 weeks or so. There could be some really good opportunity in it. But today, only 2 trades, and one of them was a loser, a short. Okay, and kind of a weird one. You know, this was a sale, looked like it was going to break down and go to lows. I can see what the AI was seeing. I mean, you're basically breaking down out of this range right here, and it looked like there was going to be some continuation, but just popped right back up. And as you can see right here, that was a stop hit. Let me just go ahead and pull up my Epic pen real quick, so I can get a little drawing tool. I'm bad about being prepared with this thing, since I don't really use it throughout the day. All right, so yeah, you can see here that was a stop hit right there in the OSMT, but Wi-Fi was really a decent trade. You can see here, conservative profit and moderate profit were about the same. What that means is the timed exit, okay, for this WIFI short. Let me go ahead and click on it so you guys can see it. All right. The timed exit would have been probably about right here. And you can see that's basically where it closed today. So you do not see, you know, that much discrepancy between moderate profit and the conservative profit in that one right there. And now, had it continue, obviously, if you held on and were lucky enough to get out close to the bottom, you would have, you know, made some more profit on that one. But if you look at the closing numbers, it did bounce up at the close there and finished pretty much the same spot that the timed exit was at. So one winner, one loser, but you know, if you're abiding by your rules and you're, you know, adhering to your stops and you're letting your winners run, it still would have been a profitable strategy today, playing the Holly Neo. So let's go ahead and take a look at all of them right quick, since there's only 2 to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit about more, because there was some good trades in all segments. And what I'm doing is just turning on all the segments right here when I just had it on NEO. And you can see here in moderate profit, using my allocation, which is buying the number of shares that if the stop is hit, I will lose $200. That's why you see all these numbers right here, right at 200. You should never see more than $200 on my screen if I have my share size set for risk of $200. Let me show you how you do that. Okay, you go to Tools, Options, AI Trade Size, and this is where I put 200 risk based on stop loss. So what that means is, if it does go to the stop, I want to lose exactly $200 and no more. And that's why you see all those numbers in there. Whereas over here in our channel bar, we're going to get this fixed pretty soon in your tools options there. But for right now, this just goes out and buys or shorts 100 shares. That's why these numbers are different than what you're going to see on my numbers. But a beautiful trade today from Holly AI was for solar. And this was just a beautiful continuation on a pullback right here, alert, buyer stepping in, and a no pain trade, we like to call it. Never went below the price, entry price, and boy, just all day long, very, very strong chart right there. Solars have been really hot days, so I mean lately, so there, you know, if you looked around, if you're seeing this alert come out and you're looking around and you're seeing all the solars running, you're seeing how strong the sector is. That to me is what's called a no-brainer. Okay, you just take a shot on something like that. And if you held this in moderate profit, that's almost $1,000 trade. Not bad when you're just only trading 267 shares with a $200 risk.
Which is the example I was trying to give earlier, that we're better at holding on than the AI is.
Exactly. I trust me, Steve and I have both traded long enough to know that majority of the traders are going to get out, after this probably this red bar right here. And our numbers have shown in our back office, those who can hold on all the way till the end of the day do much better than those who are getting out for whatever the profit save, time to exit or whatever. All right, VIPs, another decent one here. You can see this is from a new strategy called Balloon Underwater, and I kind of figured this one out. It's looking for a number of bars to the downside and then a reversal in well, either conservative mode or moderate road. Sorry, moderate profit. You can see there that 276 under my numbers for conservative, but if you held on to the close, you got 361. Split kind of between winners and losers, but it's abiding to those stop losses.
Can I add something?
Sure.
People always ask us, well, can Holly do swing trading? Well, the AI can find us really good entries, but every now and then you're going to see one like First Solar, and let's say maybe you were hanging on to First Solar. Is there any reason why you sold all of that today at the close? Is there any reason why you wouldn't maybe expect a little bit of follow through gap up tomorrow, maybe sell the second half? I mean, those are the kind of charts that I think of that come to mind when people ask, well, can the AI find good swing trades? Well, the AI will find good entries, but you got to look at that daily and say, wow, thanks for serving me this idea. I didn't see that. I'm going to keep this one on my radar now. Yep.
And look at these 3 up candles. Look at the volume on all of them. Right here, okay, right here, and right there. So you got 3 big up days on strong volume. That's the kind of stuff you want to see if you are thinking about maybe holding on this for a swing trade, maybe even an investment. Something's going on in the solars. I'm not sure what. I'm sure there's news in it. I'm just bad about reading news anymore. I just follow the price action. All right, one other here. This Wi-Fi was a short, and nice little short there. Just once again, a no pain trade. You can see here in the early morning, head fake up, reversal here. There's your signal right there, and no pain, and thing just pretty much bled all day long. I think I went over that. I did just went over that. That's from the. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was from Neo. All right, Steve. That's about it for Holly today. I'll pass it back.
Certainly. All right, so now we'll talk about the theme, the trade of the week. Here we go. I'll start with the actual email. Volume 2, trading our plan, which is what we have to do. Okay, it was triggered. Okay, we're in. I bought it. I was in. At these levels, when we have closing price at moving average, do you see a sell tag in here? Because that was my simulated account. I forgot to mirror the sell yesterday. But yeah, right at the close, I said, well, it doesn't look like it's going to make it back, and I got to eat my own dog food, and this is how I do it. So we got out. Now, if we had bled through and had just a horrible day of reckoning today and the sellers were everywhere, we would be patting ourselves on the back and saying, hey, good out. But it didn't, and we never know what's going to happen the next day. And I'm not really too concerned about it. I lost money, and we try to learn from our trades. I think the learning thing here was to definitely pay attention to what the backdrop was telling us. When we are breaking out of our trade here midday and everything's looking really good, happy face, and all of a sudden we see this. All of this was not handicapped into the email that was sent out. We don't know this is coming, so you have to look at that and say, wow, that backdrop of the market's pretty nasty. A lot of things are getting backed up and taken to downtown, but we don't know at the end of the day how it's going to close. Well, here we are. We've had a pretty good run and some great trades. I mean, just to remind people, eBay has been a really nice winner. PayPal has been a great winner. Before yesterday, GDX has been running pretty good. Peloton has been on the books for a couple months for people who want. There's no shortage of some good calls we've had, but every now and then you're going to have a loser, and all you can do is just work with the information you have at that moment, which was a market following out. Good question there, David. Would you re-enter Grub? Perhaps. The reason I use the 10 SMA is that's my first barrier of defense. Sometimes I will use that 20-day if it's close rising as a backstop. And in this case, Looks like it may have worked as a backstop. If you believe in this trade, there's no reason to maybe not jump in or jump in tomorrow in the open if you want. I'm going to move on. I was falling in love with this pattern right here. A nice sideways consolidation into a minor gap with a 10-period moving average being tested. If we didn't have that downdraft yesterday, I think we might have had a better day. So that's our lesson this week, is that our timing can't always be perfect. We have to respect what's happening in the backdrop of the bigger picture, and we have to adhere to our rules. In this case, the rules was to not let this trade close below the 10, because my biggest fear would be these high flyers all of a sudden have a couple of 3 or 4 days of reckoning, and we don't want to ride that. We just want to cut our losses quickly. So it's a good question, David. Yeah, I would consider re-entering. I'm not going to personally, but I don't see a case to not make that after we have today's data, and looks like the 20 period did in fact hold. So interesting. All right, let's go back to the notion of a pattern candle that we call an engulfing candle. In this case, it's a bearish engulfing candle because the color is red, and it's engulfing because it took out the low of the prior day and the high of the prior day. The body is that. It doesn't matter where the closing price is, but the body of the candle took that out. And the thinking is the few days that precede these types of candles on a daily chart might continue in the same direction. But of course, we talked about how insane this market is, and we've got to kind of throw all the old traders' almanacs out the book right now, out the window, and just kind of work with what we've got. So this got me thinking last night. You know, we have this alert, and maybe some of you are not aware of it, but it's called a bullish candlestick patterns. Well, all the candlestick patterns in here, if we break this down, we've got a doji, we've got a hammer, bottoming tail, green bar reversal. Well, yeah, those are all the bullish ones. But what if I wanted to throw a bearish one in here and see what comes through? Meaning, you know, I built this last night, or maybe even before the open this morning, I can't remember, but I wanted to see if this thing was just going to light up if we were following through to the downside. Interesting though, let's take a quick look. And what you've got to do when I click in these symbols, you've got to look at yesterday's candle, not today's. So that looked at that chart as a bottoming tail. There's our doji yesterday in WM, our TRX bottoming tail, green bar reversal in PCI. So I added a new one here. And one thing I forgot to add is a volume filter, but that doesn't matter. I mean, if I just click through, we can start to see some ideas here. And this is showing us there's yesterday's candle, and yesterday's candle is referencing the candle the day before, and we can see this little ominous black cloud portended to lower prices. It didn't care what the market was doing. That is pretty good follow through for that one. Are there some other interesting ones? Let's scroll down a little bit more. A lot of names here. Big reversal candle, follow through there. Bearish engulfing candle, follow through there. So in these individual names, big follow through there. We're seeing a lot of follow through. It's not so much mirroring what's happening in the bigger market. But as I go and click through some of these, it's painfully obvious that some of these are pretty thin and don't have as much volume as we'd like. So what we will do is we would go into strategies. We need to add a average daily volume. Let's say we'll do 350,000 shares. And that takes me back to real-time mode. I would have to go back to history mode today. And there's still, you know, if I scroll through on the day, I think what we're seeing here is that some of these individual names aren't having any of it. And they're not having any of it. And so what that tells us, guys, is that this could be a, you know, rather interesting alert if somebody wanted to create it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how to maybe add some other bearish engulfing candles. It's a little different than normal. And let's get into it right now. I'm going to go to the configuration window as soon as my system unlocks. Whoops, I don't know what the heck's going on there. Here we go. Strategies. We're going to do new strategy. And now we're in the familiar settings. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find another bearish candlestick. And let's find that first. First thing we're going to do is go to symbol list. And what Trade Ideas is doing for these types of daily candlestick pattern, not pattern recognition, but candlestick recognition, keying off yesterday's candle, this is how we get there. All right, we have to go to this list and we have to find the daily, open up the daily. There we go. Those are all names of candlesticks. Well, let's add another bearish candle. I'm going to call it the red bar reversal. We already have a green bar reversal in there, but we don't have a red bar reversal. So I'm going to say, all right, trade ideas, I've enabled red bar reversal. I want you to show me all the candles that closed yesterday with a red bar reversal. But there's one more step we have to do. We have to assign, when do we want to see it? What's the event going to be? Well, since it's a red bar reversal, we're probably looking for things going to be making new lows on the day. So we'll make that our alert, and that's going to become our event. All right, so new lows, window-specific filters. Let's do what I just did a moment ago. All we really need to add here is, well, you can add whatever you want, but I like to add just a volume filter. So that'll ensure we don't have small illiquid stocks. And maybe you only wanted to see stocks that were up on the year in their year range, so maybe you'd put like, a 75 in the minimum, or maybe you want to see stocks that have just been pummeled all year. So maybe they can't get above the 35% above their low for the whole year. We'll put that in there just for fun. No, actually, no. I want to see what we get on a raw scan. So we'll go ahead and launch new lows with bottoming tails. And now we have to assign it a color because this is, and a name. Let's give it the name. I'm going to give it my own name. I'm going to call it reversal. I'm not going to call it a top because I didn't really scan for possible tops. That would be maybe taking a 10-day run and then stuff that was up for 10 days and then throwing this in there. Sure, you could do that. It'd be more of a top reversal, but I'm just looking for reversal candle. Yeah, I'll just call it reversal candle. That's the name of it. And I'm sorry, one more configuration to get the color in the reversal candle. Let's do pink. Foreground's black. Background is going to be a pinkish hue. There we go. So let's run a history on today and see how much pink we've got. And there's a reversal candle. Are these starting to come in today already? No, they can't be today's candles. There we go. Okay, so that's kind of what I was looking for, guys. Little reversal candle there, a nice topping wick. And maybe after a nice 3-day run, let's go ahead and do that before we move on, because I think that's probably the way to do this. To really find the right thing that we're looking for, let's configure a move over the last 10 days that's not bad. And that way, maybe this is a blow off top type of reversal. So we'll do change 10 days, percent, change in 10 days, percent, add filter. So all stocks that were up at least, I don't know, 7% in the last 10 days threw in a reversal wick. Let's see what happens. Does that change a whole lot? Let's go back to the history of today and see how many pink candles we get. Gene was popping in there for whatever reason. That one kept popping in there. CNK. Well, there's probably some more filtering that you could do to find the exact thing that you want, but nonetheless, these things are doing exactly what I'm asking for. That's really what I'm scanning for right there, things like that. So, BSRC early today, it looks like this thing was coming through early and often. Would have been nice to see that a lot earlier. Let's see if we can see how early we saw BCRC. And we'll move on. There it is, reversal candle. Okay, so anyway, that is the way in which you can scan for daily candlesticks, regardless of how you want them to be bullish or bearish. And then you just assign an event to them, and that is the way this one is working. I'll be happy to share it. I'm sure people might want it. I don't know if it's that shareable because of the way in which you have to activate things. I don't know. Is this easy to share, Andy? Do you know? Because it's a multi-strategy? You would be on mute if you're talking.
Yeah, you can. It's just like the one we
Okay.
have in Trader's Vault.
Okay.
So they have, yeah.
Oh, so it's in Trader's Vault too. Okay, so I've added a couple of bearish candlesticks there. It's now in the chat window for those that want it.
The only thing is the name of it's Bullish Daily, so that could be confusing, but
No, we have to rename it. Yeah, that's true. I'm just kind of messing around and showing you some of the power. All right, what did I want to talk about next? Ah, yes. Okay, so I turned these on this morning, the RBI and GBIs, and I thought this could be an interesting day. I didn't know if the day was going to go to lows or if we were going to bounce and go to highs. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to see if the RBI, GBIs could tell a story? And for those that don't know, it's kind of a lesser known alert. Now, personally, I'm lobbying to try and turn this alert on for standard users and maybe even get it in the channel bar so people can just click right into it. It's a bit different in the way you access it. You have to go to new, and you have to be a premium subscriber, by the way, new, and there it is right there, premium, RBI and GBI. And I use the 15-minute version, and RBI stands for red bar ignored. And so if I go through and kind of scroll, that's a lot of symbols that came through when I turned this on this morning versus the green bar ignored, the downside alerts. They just didn't have it today. So it was kind of indicative of the day that stuff was just making big moves throughout the day. And what constitutes the settings to get on this scan? Okay, let's click into one and see if we can find some good examples. Let me go a little earlier on the day. All right, and I will zoom in here as well. Perfect. Actually, I want to find one with some color in it. Here we go, perfect. UNVR came through today about 12:15 Eastern. What was it finding? Okay, it found a minimum of 4 green bars. Do we satisfy that? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green bars. And then notice we have a red bar. And so once that red bar closes, the system is on watch. What's it on watch for? It's on watch for the following candle, subsequent candle, taking out the high of that red candle, which basically tells us, look, at this level and moment in time, sellers tried to jump in here and take a stand. The sellers got subsequently run over. And typically when you see a green bar start to form after a red bar, there might be a really good opportunity for some follow through for the rest of the day. So there were a lot of these alerts coming through today. And again, the reason that I bring them up is for people who are maybe newer users and are premium users and are not aware that you have access to this. It's a pretty cool alert. And let me show you the controls that you have over it. It's very different from everything else. It's off the grid kind of. We have this and only this as our customization. So I put minimum price in, and I put minimum average daily volume over 5 days, 400,000. All I want to see are stocks above 5 that have decent liquidity. And this alert kind of takes it from there. Let me delete that. Okay. Let's see if we can find another interesting example. There was the one we used that one earlier. Okay, are they all going to work? No. I mean, here was our signal candle, and that one kind of reversed. But hey, you know, these are not guaranteed to be 100% of the time, but they're great ideas for intraday momentum. I wish I could see the arrow on that. It looks like I've lost my arrow to try and highlight where they are, but I can see with my eyes. That's our red candle right there, and the green candle said, screw you, we're going higher. And so you get a pretty early warning here that says, hey, that red candle was just taken out by the new candle. You know, if you want to go long, it's up to you, it's your discretion. But as you can see, these names will repeat in your face all day long to remind you if you didn't take them. On the downside, let's go earlier in the day on the downside. All right, so there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles. There's our signal, red candles, excuse me. There's our signal, a green candle, and then the arrow points to the candle going to the lows of our signal candle, and then it just kind of bled lower for the rest of the day. So if you guys find value in this and you are a premium subscriber, you only need to go to the toolbar for new RBI, GBI. Can't add your own columns, Paul. The RBI alerts are really limited in how they're controllable. So, I mean, if you go back to customize, that seems to be the only option we have. I don't believe there is. Let's see if there is. Yeah, I don't see an option to change those values. Unless, no, interesting. They just are what they are. I evaluate them as they come out. But if somebody was looking for just simple, you don't want to hold a stock overnight and you just want to find something that's in motion and might have a good follow through, some good ideas. RBI stands for red bar ignored and GBI stands for green bar ignored. Ignored is the operative word. You need to see 4 setup candles before the candle changes color and closes, and then you'll see the remainder from there. Let's see if we can find one more really good example. And while I do this, if somebody wants to take a look, we've got a few minutes, 4 or 5 minutes to look at some stock charts. If somebody's got something they want to look at and get an opinion on, we're happy to look. Here's a great example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green bars. The red bar tries to jump in and nope, continuation pattern. So you'll be alerted pretty much right here, which is nice. So again, are they all going to work? Nope. But are they good ideas? Yeah. Holly is a pet name for the AI. Holly is a pet name for the AI. Okay, great. That's from Michael. All right, so yeah, 4 times the 15-minute bar. That's correct, Bruce. Once you've got those 4 bars in a row green, once that red bar closes, the system is on alert to say, hey, if we get a new high, we'll take that out, we'll get alerted. I think we're all caught up on questions here. Again, if somebody wants to throw in a stock symbol or two, we can look at those. Otherwise, we're kind of coming to an end here on our content. All right, Bruce has one, FSLY. And again, it always kind of helps to know if you're thinking about getting long or if you're currently long or what's going on. But this looks like a lot of charts right now, and it doesn't look bad in that it bounced and recovered today. I much rather would be the person who would wait for a stock like this to close and recover above the 20-day and maybe consider taking a position than look this guy here waiting for day number 3 to say, okay, it feels safe now. Let me go ahead and jump in and buy it right there. It's just, you're just asking for the pullback up there. So I don't see anything wrong with that one. If you know something that I don't more about that, that company, it's August 5th earnings. We're good there. Hey, that's a nice looking doji. Good. All right, what else do we got here? A couple more. Let's see. Well, how often is the short float updated? It's going to be twice a month. That's standard in the industry. They have to do a survey. ALLY, ally long. ALLY, ally long. It's breaking out of this is consumer lending financials. They were having a rough bit, but they seem to have done better. And it doesn't matter what I think. I would say that's what I see there, and I think that's good. I think that's a positive. That's a good looking chart. You might want to let that one work for you.
They do have earnings in a couple of days, though. So
oh yes, the yellow is bringing earnings to our attention, so we have to respect that. FLXN, Flexen had a pretty good day today. I don't really see a whole lot of pattern recognition on the daily chart. It's going to run right smack into resistance here, where it fell from. I don't know how much meat is left on that bone there, but nonetheless, a good recovery day. Yes, the RBI 5, 15 and 30 denote the candles, Stephen. They denote how many minutes we're going to wait for those candles to close. Is it a good entry now on NEO? This will be the last chart we take a look at, and we'll bring Scott in. I would like to have seen, I'm a stickler for the 10-day moving average. I like to see that 10-day moving average get tagged. It would have been perfect if that had happened. It's a nice recovery. I'm seeing it kind of recover there in no man's land, and I'm also a little concerned about that gap that's still back down here. Earnings are not even in there. So you could take a chance with it, but if it starts to roll back over and looks like it wants to flirt with lows again, it may want to come and just touch that 10-day moving average. All right, we'll do one more, then we'll bring in Scott, unless I have a question that needs answered. Play didn't want to play ball today. Dave and Buster's, wow, that's a tough one. I'm usually not a fundamental guy, but we just closed up again here in California, and these places are included. But I'm just going to let the price action tell the story. It can't get above the 10-period moving average. It is pinned. It's being held down and given a swirly. Doesn't look like a good chart to me. If you're thinking it's going to go up, you're kind of just waiting for something to happen, and that's never really a good scenario. All right, well, that's good. So if we're all good, I will bring in Scott for final announcements. I think some people were looking for maybe a promo code or whatnot. We'll take care of that right now.
Yeah, thanks. Let's look at a couple of things on our way out. We do have a new ebook that we released a little bit earlier this year. If you don't have it, just go ahead and grab it because we're coming into another earnings season. Trade-ideas.com/earnings is the place to go to get the free copy. It'll give you some ideas about how to use earnings season to your advantage. Then we have a podcast. We released some good episodes this year. Sean McLaughlin's been doing a series of interviews, so go ahead and check out the newest one. Just search for Trade Ideas Podcast. And add us as a subscription so that you get the next one delivered directly to your inbox. Code summertime, all caps, or actually now we can take any case since we changed our payment system, but summertime's the code. Save 15% off your first month or year of any subscription to Trade Ideas. Also can use that to do an upgrade from standard to premium and save some dough on your first new installment. Follow Steve on Twitter at Today Trader. Also follow us at Trade Ideas, at Montbot. We have some other handles. Trade Ideas Pro is the Facebook handle to follow on Facebook and share what we post with your friends. And info@tradeideas.com is the support email to send your questions to. It gets you the best answers because it goes directly into our help desk software, where we route it to the appropriate team member to get you the fast reply. All right, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Andy. Thanks, everyone. The recording will be up later on tonight or tomorrow. Stay tuned.
Great. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody. I'll see you on Thursday.